On today's segment of Education Today, we will be discussing homeschooling and its pros and cons. Before we join Danielle with this segment, however, let's look into the basics and background of homeschooling so we will have a better understanding of the topic. First off, what exactly is homeschooling? Homeschooling is a practice where planned instruction takes place in the home environment and is taught and supervised by either a parent or a tutor. Instead of attending a traditional school on a daily basis, homeschooled students stay in their homes and are taught there with customized instruction based on an approved curriculum. When did it originate? Long ago in the 17th and 18th century, it was common for children to be taught in their homes. It was not uncommon for parents to simply teach their children what they knew in the home as they were growing up. In fact, many famous people in our history were homeschooled, such as Abraham Lincoln, FDR, and Mark Twain. However, when compulsory attendance became a law, many parents stopped homeschooling their students and the number of homeschooled students dropped drastically. In the 1960s and 70s, homeschooling began to resurface as a reaction to the public education system. Since then, the number of homeschooled students has risen dramatically. Statistics say that in 1990, only about 300,000 American children were being homeschooled. Recent studies now place that number well over 1 million. Over the past 40 to 50 years, there have been many different motivations that have caused parents to choose homeschooling over a traditional school education. These motivations can be condensed down into 4 broad categories. The first category of motivation is based on religious beliefs. Many parents and guardians of students look to provide their child with an education that focuses on their religion, and so they choose homeschooling to share and educate their children on their beliefs. Some parents also believe that some events and incidences in public schools can go against or be alien to their religious beliefs, and they wish to guard their children from these instances. The second and third categories, academic and pedagogical concerns and general dissatisfaction of public education, blend together. These categories are based on the idea that parents and guardians believe that they can teach their children better than the public education system. Parents with these motivations don't believe that schools can fulfill their child's needs, whether they are gifted or have special needs. Some parents also just disagree with the teaching strategies and philosophies within schools. The last category, family lifestyle concerns, deals with the idea of parents wanting to shield their children from the negative influences of school environments and peer influence. Now on to today's segment of Education Today.
Hi. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Education Today. I'm Danielle, and I will be your host on today's segment on homeschooling. With me today, I have 2 guests, Erica, who is an expert on homeschooling, and Kim, who is an advocate for the public school system. Welcome, Erica and Kim. Thank you for joining us today. Of course, our topic today is homeschooling, but more specifically, we will focus on the pros and cons of homeschooling. I, as a parent, have always considered homeschooling, and I know many of the viewers are interested in the topic as well. This is why we have invited you to join us, to help educate us and help us decide whether homeschooling is the right choice for our children. Erica, please enlighten us and explain why you believe homeschooling benefits our students.
I support homeschooling for a number of reasons, but I believe the ability to provide individualized instruction to your children and customize their education is by far the biggest benefit to homeschooling. Children are unique in many ways. They all have their own interests and learn in different ways. Homeschooling allows educators to provide instruction that they feel is important and is in interest of the child. They will focus on the child's individual needs, such as working at their own pace, providing the amount of scaffolding they need, and the education will set them up for their future. Since the instruction is individualized, high expectations are always held for these students. In a traditional classroom, educators have to spend time on management issues, which can always interfere with their time and lower expectations.
Kim, do you believe customization like this will affect the students?
Though customizing a student's education is important to meet their needs and their interests, too much customization can also be an issue. Educators of homeschoolers can narrow the information they teach to such a degree that the children aren't learning everything they can learn. This can ultimately hurt the child later on when placed into society.
While entering into society, does this mean that the homeschooled students won't have the communication skills necessary for everyday conversations?
Though many people believe that homeschooled students do not get the socialization that they need to survive in this society, many studies actually say this is false. As time has passed, homeschooled educators attend to this misconception and provide their students with ample opportunities within their communities and groups to get that socialization that they need. According to Romanowski, a professor at Ohio Northern University, it is found that homeschooled students participate in many of the activities outside the home. This provides interaction with a number of different individuals, whereas in a traditional school, many students only interact about the same 30 or so students every day.
This may be true that students have classes with the same people every day, but in this type of setting, all these students are different. They do not choose the students who they have class with. In traditional schools, students come from all walks of life to get an education. They have different backgrounds and values and learn to cope with the differences among one another. This provides them with a background of new knowledge and opinions that can be later used in their life after schooling. With homeschooling, parents can limit and choose the socialization that their child has. They can decide who they interact with and the ideas that surround the outside activities. As a result, this can shelter them from other views that educators do not want them to experience.
So it seems like the socialization of a student who is homeschooled all comes down to the decisions that their parents or educators make in their favor. Here I have some research that shows that homeschooled students tend to score higher than the national median on standardized tests. Erica, will you please share that with us?
This is very true. Research has found through multiple studies that academic achievement of these students is very high. Their achievement can be attributed to the customization of their education, and even if a parent does not seem to have a very high level of education, their child still seems to score higher than a national median. It is even found that the political party values of parents, SES, and how long a child is homeschooled, and the needs of their child can impact the achievement level of their homeschooled student.
With such high academic achievement levels, how often do students succeed when it comes to applying for higher education?
Many homeschooled students do end up going to college, just like traditionally schooled students. In fact, many colleges actually recruit these students because of their high academic achievement.
Though this may be true for some schools, studies have been done just to focus on this question, and it was found that some higher level institutions believe though homeschool students are well educated, they still have barriers in the application and decision processes that will hinder their chance of being accepted into some of these institutions. Another hardship that homeschooled students face at this point in their life is that they must make their own path. Unlike traditionally schooled students, they don't have a school's resources to help give them guidance, provide them school visits, and recommendations to build their resumes to reach their goals. They must do this all on their own, which can be very stressful.
This may put extra pressure and stress on these students, but it can help them and teach them responsibility at a very young age and teach them that they are in charge of their own future. During homeschooling, they are taught responsibility so young that they drive their education with the help of their educator. This sense of responsibility can translate in their adulthood by being actively involved in their community. It is found that homeschooled students are more involved in their community compared to traditionally schooled students. They also tend to maintain a sense of responsibility over their education by reading on a regular basis. They do so much more often than other students.
So the decision to homeschool your children will basically impact their entire life. Kim, do you have any other major cons that you would like to share with us?
Yes, there are definitely more cons. One of the major cons is it is very time consuming. Homeschooling your child is not easy. It takes a lot of planning, time, energy, and resourcefulness. If a parent is not dedicated, it will most likely not work out well for their child. They need to be able to balance their time and learn all the materials along with their child if they don't already know the information. Space is another big concern. Teaching materials as well as resources and creating an environment that is suitable for learning is essential. All of this takes space, which many families may not have, and money. If an educator cannot provide the proper resources and materials for these students, they may not get the valuable education in which they deserve.
While many homeschooled students, homeschooling can be expensive for some homeschooled students, but some families may not have the resources that are essential to provide valuable education. This is where there are programs that help provide these resources to them. Many school districts and other public programs provide materials and resources to help these families and students, and educators help the students. They help provide guidance and provide them with advice as well.
So in other words, educators and parents should look into the programs and resources that are available to them when considering whether or not homeschooling is the right path for their child. There seems to be a lot of considerations to take when deciding what kind of schooling is the best for your child. It is also important to realize that the decisions you make as an educator, if you choose homeschooling, can affect your child's academic achievement and exposure. Thank you, Erica and Kim, for your input into such a growing trend in today's society. Until next time, everyone, remember, what you learn about education today will impact your students' education tomorrow. Thank you.